Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love guys. Now today's first story comes from Haunting Lime 6836 and it says, am I the arsehole for telling my wife my childhood friend will never forgive her for what she did? My wife, 32 female, and I, 34 male, have been married for 6 years, together for 10. We have a 4-year-old son. A few years ago, my close childhood friend, 34 female, got married. We've been extremely close since we were kids. Both our families were dysfunctional in different ways. At one point, my dad cheated on my mum with her mum. They got married, divorced a year later, and we basically ended up abandoned by both sides. Through all that, we became really close with each other. She even has 2 tattoos that relate to our bond. I would have gotten a tattoo too, but I'm sort of scared of needles. My wife was actually close to my friend too, and never showed signs of being insecure about our friendship. Until postpartum hit. After our son was born, she really struggled. Her emotions were all over the place, and she became extremely insecure about my relationship with my friend. I was supposed to be man of honor at my friend's wedding, help plan things and be a big part of the ceremony, but my wife was so anxious and uncomfortable, she begged me not to attend. It made me really sad, but I chose my wife. I told my friend I couldn't go and told her why. She was really hurt by it, not angry, just really sad, but said she understood. A couple of months later, my wife fully recovered and apologized both to me and to my friend. I forgave her. My friend, however, didn't. When my wife reached out to my friend to apologize, my friend was polite but direct. She said she never wanted to speak to her again. She didn't yell or make a scene, she just drew a boundary, and honestly, I get it. It was a once in a lifetime day, and she leaned on me for years and I bailed. I still feel guilty about it. My friend and I still talk regularly. Nothing inappropriate, we're just close, always have been. Recently, my wife asked if there was any chance my friend would forgive her. I told her the truth. No, that ship sailed. My wife got sort of quiet and looked sad and hasn't brought it up again. But I wonder if I was too blunt. Am I the arsehole for not giving my wife hope and just telling her forgiveness probably isn't happening? Is it purple, says DOP, asking out of genuine curiosity. How is this going to work? Is your bestie going to skip all life milestones and celebrations on your end? Or is it expected that she'll be there when your wife is uncomfortable? Is it safe to assume your bestie isn't involved in your child's life? I'm just trying to fully understand the situation. Dean says, great point. Info OP. We need to know what your expectations are on how you intend to manage this friendship moving forward. Another commenter says, have the feeling he'll be there for the friend and leave the wife at home. The Ivy that is poison says, to be honest, I think this is your fault. Sometimes friends can't make it to weddings no matter how close, but you definitely showed that this was your wife's fault and not your family decision to support your wife during a hard time. Your friend didn't need to know that your wife was feeling jealous and insecure, and that's the reason you couldn't go. The reason you couldn't go was you had to be there for your family. To be honest, you painted your wife as the bad guy. You and your wife should have figured out how to have you go, whether that be a friend stay with her or you take pictures, or whatever other compromise. Your friend shouldn't have been aware that this was your wife's fault. But you didn't seem afraid to throw your wife under the bus. But you chose your wife on the wedding day. This tells me you weren't a good partner. Sure, you didn't go to appease your wife, but communicating that to your friend isn't being a good husband. Being a grown-up means making hard decisions, not just choosing your wife and painting her as the bad guy when things don't go your way. Not the arsehole for what you're asking, but you're not a supportive partner or a friend. Being a good friend would also be showing her how important family is. Her wedding, her new family, is just as important as yours. A good friend would understand that and forgive. But because you painted your wife as the bad guy, now your friend does too. This is on you. Your wife even apologized because she knew in hindsight she was wrong. Your wife is more adult than you and your friend. Logical Customer says, exactly. This is why I think I vote you're the arsehole. He let his wife take the fall, while also claiming that he chose her. He begrudgingly stayed home with her because she pleaded enough. If he had been taking her PPD seriously and acknowledging it as the medical condition that it is, he wouldn't have ever let the friend blame her. Sorry, my wife won't let me come to the wedding because she's recovering from a heart attack. What a bitch, right? Doesn't have quite the same ring to it. It always should have been addressed as him making the choice. I'm so sorry, my wife is having some medical issues since the birth of our child and just cannot leave them at this time. I really hope you understand. And then send her a big fat wedding gift / chunk of cash as a gift and move on. If friend is a real friend, they would never presume to believe their wedding more important than the medical needs of their friend's family. Source, me. I've been a bride and a mum and have had PPD. I know I'd have been nothing but understanding as a bride in this scenario above if the party member framed it as it should have been framed. But it was around 5 days later that OP came in with an update and says, wow, I didn't expect the sheer gravity of responses I got. Reading through everyone's perspectives really opened my eyes. A lot of you reminded me that my wife went through a really tough mental condition postpartum, and regardless of how much it hurt my friend, my wife doesn't deserve to be punished forever for it. So a couple of days ago, I had a long, honest talk with my friend. I told her that my wife and I are a package deal, and while I understood why she was so hurt and disappointed, my wife had already repented and apologized enough. I told her that if she truly valued our friendship, she needed to hash it out with my wife so we could all move forward. It was a really emotional conversation. My friend was very sad at first, and we talked a lot about the past and how things had changed. Eventually, she agreed. Later that day, she called my wife, apologized for holding the grudge, and accepted my wife's apology too. And they had a nice, happy talk. My wife was honestly so relieved and happy, it felt like a huge weight was lifted. During my talk with my friend, she also said she really misses hanging out with me like we used to before all this marriage drama. She said she would accept the apology, but she just wants to spend more one-on-one time with me again. I accepted that, told her I appreciate her honesty, and assured her that I still value our friendship deeply. She seemed really happy about it. So yeah, that's probably my final update. My wife is happy, my friend has let go of their resentment, and I feel like I finally did right by both of them. Thank you for all your advice. It really helped me see what I needed to do. Arch says to this one, okay, so from the previous post, it sounds like your wife was going through postpartum, dealing with a lot of insecurity and mental illness, and she needed you at her side. Meanwhile, there is this other woman that is not your wife and has tattoos related to your bond that is very close to you. It's kind of impossible for her not to feel a type of way about it deep down. Regardless of all that fact, your wife was going through some really horrible times birthing your kid. And men is incapable of realizing the toll childbirth takes on the woman's body. Because in the first post, you literally sounded like you blame your wife as well and resented her for needing you to do your job as her partner. Still, she apologized to you and your friend, but your friend still held a grudge unnecessarily, might I add. Because when it came to your wife, none of it was done maliciously. You had to basically give your friend an ultimatum in order to accept your wife's apology. You do realize she wasn't going to take that apology. If you didn't phrase it to her, she would also lose you, right? And it's proven when after all that, she still requests to have only one-on-one time with you. Sir, you're a husband and a father. Like, are we reading the same thing? Where is the emotional maturity everybody's talking about with you? It literally took Reddit to push you to use your brain to realize as a married man and father, you should put your wife and kids first. Your wife deserves better, because what the hell is this? Just no. Good Queen says, these are just two very codependent people who are refusing to grow up and realize they now have responsibilities outside of each other that come first. For OP, it's his wife and child, and for the friend, it should be her own husband. They need therapy yesterday to actually be able to have a normal friend relationship. But that's the thing with codependent people. They don't want to. Short says, I honestly have no idea why they even married other people. This level of codependency is out there. Here just to argue says, taking bets now. He leaves wife for his friend in less than a year. Dainty Bush says, they're already having an affair. But now, I'm going to turn this one straight to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from the Am I Overreacting subreddit and says, Am I overreacting? Husband didn't feed baby. Again. I, 23 female, am the primary caregiver for our son. I watch him all day until his dad, 25 male, gets off work around 6 p.m. I go into work from 7 p.m. to 12, and during that time he just has to make sure the baby stays alive during his sleep, as the baby's bedtime is at 7. I had a burnout a few weeks ago and knew I couldn't keep this up. Watching him all day, going to work, then watching him all night was killing me, so I had to tell husband he needs to wake up at least once a night to feed the baby. He does. Sometimes. For some reason, if the baby wakes up, he will hand him to me while he warms a bottle. I don't do this. If he wakes, I leave him in the crib and warm one. I don't see the point of both of us being awake, but he will wake me up out of dead sleep and give me our son and then take him back to feed him. The bottle takes 4 minutes to warm. During those few minutes, he will lay back in bed and somehow fall asleep so the baby doesn't get fed. He did this again last night for the 20th time. I have told him that if he cannot put the baby to sleep, 98% he can't, to hand him to me. Baby is now at the age where he prefers me over dad and sometimes will fight sleep for hours until he sees me. I assume that's what he was doing. He had fed the baby and couldn't put him down, so he gave him to me, but he had not. The baby will fall back asleep on me, whether he has eaten or not, but he'll toss and turn and eventually wake back up from the hunger. I sleep terribly when the baby is on me because I'm not a back sleeper. My brain knows the baby is beside me, so it's on panic mode, so I don't roll on top of him. I hate co-sleeping, especially with all of us in the bed. The whole point in him waking up to feed the baby is to let me get a few more hours of sleep. I'm not getting that, and now our baby won't settle for sleep again because he's starving and relentless. So me and the kid have been up since 5. This isn't the first time he's done this. He will make bottles and just fall back asleep, and I end up having to be the one to do everything. I just don't understand how he can sleep knowing his son is hungry, tired or not. Like I'm not tired too. I watch his son all day. I clean every day. I cook every day, and then I go to work and have to come back and watch the baby all night. I know parenthood is by definition a lack of sleep, but it's not supposed to be solely on one parent. I'm seriously contemplating this relationship because I have voiced my opinion multiple times on this issue. No, this all felt very strategic to me. Falling asleep during the 4 minutes of prepping the bottle, like I said, just feels strategic to me. Like, oh, you've got the baby now, you get the bottle and you can feed him. Well, he falls asleep magically. And that it's such an inconvenience for you now that you'll just do it yourself because it's easier. The commenter says to OP, not overreacting, but what does the father say when you confront him about this? OP says he was the one who was pushing for himself to wake up and help actually, so I figured this was his compromise for it all. But he does apologize and says he doesn't remember falling asleep. Another commenter says now that he knows he can't stay awake if he hopped back in bed, there is no reason he should be doing anything during those 4 minutes but standing there waiting for the bottle to finish warming up. He's being selfish and hoping you'll just do it yourself. OP says I tell him this. I don't understand why he can't just stand for 4 minutes. Commenter says wake him up every time you get up at night to feed the baby. Make sure he stays awake while you're feeding. If that means turning on the light in the bedroom or feeding the baby in the dark but in bed next to your husband, when the pain he's in is greater than the pain of change, he will change. At the very least, he will understand how tired you are. OP says I will. The crazy thing is, just this week he started only waking up twice. He used to wake up 4 or 5 times before, but he wakes up at 6 a.m, so meaning I only sleep like 4 hours. If his dad could literally just do one feeding, that's already half the work done. Someone says, has a husband been tested for any medical conditions that affect his sleep? And OP says, I don't think so, but I'm no doctor, so I wouldn't know for sure. I bring it up, but you're right on the dot with men not liking doctors. When he's sick, in pain, anything of the sort, he will refuse to see one. He does snore and he will choke and wake himself up sometimes. It's scary to hear. I always think he's going to die or something. I definitely think it's a possibility. He wakes up at 6 a.m. to get ready to leave for work. He gets home around 6 p.m. and I leave for work at 6 and come home around 11 or 12, so he really only gets a max of 6 hours of sleep because it takes him about 2 to 3 hours to put the baby to bed. Sleep apnea. Someone says to OP, does the husband take any sleep-related medications? OP says no, but he is a log. He's been like that since I've known him. He didn't budge with our mirror crashed down and shattered a few days ago, and he sleeps through all of his alarms, even with a phone beside his head. His sleep does concern me sometimes because one second he's up and then the next he's out. Another commenter says, first off, do not co-sleep with a baby. Super dangerous. It happens, sure, but it only takes 1 second for the baby to be blue and gone. Don't do that ever again. Next step, tell him he is not allowed back in your bed until the baby is fed. End of story. I have triplets and I did night feeding and I never once just handed my kids back. That being said, some dads have a hard time adjusting to the new regime because they didn't carry that baby, and it just takes time to stop caring about oneself over another. Don't get resentful. He can do better and you need to tell him as much. Good luck, mama. Opie says yes, we don't co-sleep. If he's in the bed, one of us is awake, or I wait till he's knocked out to transfer him because I can't sleep with him in the bed beside me. I definitely think it's a slow process. I just asked him like 2 weeks ago to start helping and he just got this new job, so it's definitely a balancing thing in my opinion. Someone on the son's age and what is necessary for him to have feedings, Opie says 10 months, but he has an ostomy bag and needs sodium supplements, so he needs at least 1 feeding at night. He won't drink salt water, or else his electrolytes will drop too low. He wasn't allowed to start solids for a bit, being in the NICU so long, plus his surgeries afterwards. So he's just now starting to accept solids. It's a work in progress and we clean his mouth after he eats like his dentist advises. The OP comes in with an update and says, just want to start off by saying thank you to everyone who gave thoughts, opinions and advice. I realized pretty quickly I wouldn't be able to answer everyone and a lot of the same questions were being asked as well. For starters, my husband missing a feed doesn't hurt his medical condition because I make sure I double the amount before bed. Allowed, and I'm always up around 4 or 5 a.m. to give him a feed regardless, so he always gets his sodium supplements. Look up Hirschsprung's disease if you're interested to learn about our baby's condition. Also, I think some people got confused and thought him missing a feed was every night, but it only happens about twice a month. Still frustrating when it happens though. Anyway, the update starts here. Saturday we had a big discussion about sleep and feedings. I asked him why he hands the baby to me and he said he does it because he can't hold himself while getting milk. Mixing supplements in and keeping him in the crib to cry will wake me up more. He normally will take the baby back 98% of the time. He said he will stop and bring the baby into the living room and let him cry there while he gets everything done. I asked him why he falls asleep and he told me that he genuinely does not mean to, and I believe him. A lot of people went straight to calling him awful and a shit dad, but I see this man every day and can promise he is anything but that. He's just lazy, or so I thought. I brought up sleep apnea because there were tons of people saying to look into it. I asked him to tell me what sleep was like for him, and I give you the short version. He wakes up constantly because he feels like he loses his breath / his heart stops, but he does fall right back to sleep so he doesn't mind it too much. He sweats so much he could end up cold from being drenched. It's bad. His mouth is always dry and hoarse from his obnoxious snoring. It's god awful. During the day, he has micro naps so his head is constantly bobbing at work. He has to roll the windows down with the AC at full blast and music at max so he stays up while driving sometimes. Another thing that I myself have diagnosed him with, so I could be wrong, is sexomnia. Look it up. I did this years ago because when we first started dating, I noticed at night when we were dead asleep, he would initiate sex every night. I went along with it, but when we would wake the next morning, we'd always joke about how I was a wild card at night and couldn't keep my hands off of him. I was baffled and told him I was just following his lead, and he too was baffled. He had no memory of anything he did at night to me or himself. He still doesn't know when he does it. Intercourse, fondling, he has no idea. Well, guess what one of the causes for sexomnia is? Sleep apnea. He has done all of these things since I've known him. Also, he sticks his arm straight in the air and strokes it while he's asleep. Very creepy. I just want to let you know what I deal with. We came to an agreement, because he fought me on seeing a doctor, that he would have a telemed virtual appointment with a doctor, and if they advised us to come in, we would. Yesterday before he went to work, I set up the earliest appointment we could get. No surprise, she heavily advised he come in and start a sleep test with the clinic, with all his symptoms including my awkward nighttime stories. Really weird telling a doc your husband is a sex sleeper. The arm thing is apparently a self-soothing thing, by the way. He was on the fence, but she also said they offer a sleep test at home kit and we could do it ourselves. However, I don't know if I trusted. She said it's not as reliable and there could be issues that we wouldn't know about. We have an appointment next week to see a doctor in person about this and we'll decide then. But I will leave it to him as it's his sleep and comfort. The kit is covered by our insurance, but it comes with a risk of being less accurate. We are making a sleep schedule, but knowing he might have a sleep disorder, I don't want him waking with the baby. As of now, we agreed I should cut my hours down at my work, that way I'm not so tired. I can handle less sleep with less hours worked. I'm upset with him because I only knew about his snoring and sweating. I had no idea he had trouble staying up and work or driving, and that's frustrating because what if he had to watch the baby alone one day, or if he hurt someone or himself on the road? We're definitely going to have another conversation about honesty and communication because this issue could have been solved months ago. Thank you for listening, and thank you for telling me to bring up sleep apnea. This literally could be saving my husband's life and our relationship, so thank you from the bottom of my heart. Commenter says make sure he knows that he can die from untreated sleep apnea. Heart attack and stroke can occur while he sleeps suffocating. Opie says the doctor and I both heavily emphasize this to him. He's worried, but not as worried as I think he should be, but according to him, he's lived the past 10 years like this, so another week or two won't hurt. Hopefully his luck stays up with that mindset. Another commenter says, I hope your husband takes this seriously. He's literally fighting for his life every single night and it's taking a massive toll on his health. It's also creating a safety risk for your baby. And he's gambling with his life and his future by delaying diagnosis and treatment. So tell him to drop the stubbornness and do exactly what the doctor recommends as quickly as possible. Opie says he hasn't been to the doctor once since I've known him. According to his mother, the last time she took him was 15 years. It's incredibly frustrating. I tell him every other day to see a doctor as he always had some random or concerning pain. Commenter says, this needs to be the hill you die on. Let him know in no uncertain terms that if he doesn't go in to do a proper sleep study, he can pack his shit and move out. I know it seems extreme, but he's putting his life on the line. He's putting your life on the line every time he drives you, and he's putting your child's life on the line. This cannot be negotiable. Keep in mind, sleep deprivation is a form of torture. He has literally been torturing himself for 10 plus years. Opie says yes, once I heard the driving part, I knew this wasn't a game anymore. I've already set his appointment and I'm driving him myself to make sure it's done. Also, luckily for us, his best friend works at the same job and lives in the same apartment complex as us, so he's offered to drive him to work until his appointment. With all the help and support he's getting right now, if he doesn't keep up his end of the deal, I'll have to fight him and drag him there myself. Someone says, does Opie and her husband have family close by that can help out and be a support system? Opie says my parents aren't too far, but not close enough to help at night. They're out of the country at the moment as well. I do not get along with his mother as she has issues with obeying our baby's sleep and feeding schedule, so we're low contact with them and only see them once every 2 weeks. I don't trust help from her, nor do I want it. It will cause me more stress than I already have. It's just the 3 of us at the moment, but I do believe cutting my hours at work will help a lot with my stress and sleep. Another commenter said, I can't believe you agreed to let him shirk his responsibility and you cut your hours at work to make up for it. So now your career will suffer. Holy hell, OP. He's acting like a child and like he doesn't have any agency at all. And you're falling for this weaponized incompetence crap. He let his medical issues affect his family to this degree and still won't see a doctor until you force him to. This story is infuriating to read, not a happy update. He has medical issues, okay. He did nothing to address them for years, even when you begged, and still doesn't take responsibility. Sleep test at home for what reason? When you can get a better test at the doctor when they offered it. It's pure laziness and selfishness. If he cared about his family, he would do everything he can to make sure he is healthy and present for them. Now your career takes a hit while he can continue to let you do every single thing for him, include manage his health like he's the baby. Opie responds saying the plan was me to quit my job and become a stay-at-home mum from the beginning. I hate my job. It's physical labor, and I certainly don't love working, especially when it means I can't see my son. He is going to the doctor. He was iffy about whether to do the test at home or at the clinic because of work. It's a new job and he doesn't have the same leeway as his other. But he is going to the doctor. He's going to decide which test is best when he gets there and go with whatever the doctor decides. He didn't know he had an actual issue and just blamed stress. I didn't know either, and I never asked him to test for apnea. He gets bad migraines and his side hurts sometimes. Those are the issues I was referring to. But while he's there, he has to get a general workup anyway, so we'll see if he has any other underlying conditions. He will bring anything else up because he would rather do it all there than make a second appointment. Opie on having babysitting sources for her son. Opie says, most babysitters aren't comfortable with handling a baby with special care like an ostomy bag. If it were to fall off, they would be responsible for reapplying his dressings, and that's a lot to ask for anyone. I enjoy watching my son and already work part-time as it is. We have already discussed how we aren't comfortable with our son being in daycare or having a babysitter. They aren't cheap, and it'd be more money than it's worth. I don't mind watching my son day or night if I'm not working because I can sleep when he does. As of now, my job drains me physically and emotionally. I can barely keep my eyes open after work, but on my days off I have no problems. If I had a job I loved, it would be 100% different. And there was just loads of comments below talking about people's own experiences with family and sleep apnea and how serious it is and how it can lead to death. And, you know, in the end, I really hope that he does follow through and go to the doctors about this because it's clearly taken a toll on their whole family at this point. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much. And hopefully I'm going to see you in the next one. Take care and much love.